Hey, Run Tri Bike community. Welcome to the 137th episode of our Fireside Chat on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. Today, we're going to be joined by Emily Holland, who is a co-founder of Wild Poppy Creative, which is a consulting agency that helps creators grow their platforms, especially in the podcast space. She is also a non-drinking outdoors woman, try to say that 3 times fast, who has pictures of her on the side of a cliff that made me think there is no chance I'm ever doing that. But they are pretty damn cool pictures. So without any more hesitation, let's bring Emily on and talk to her about endurance sports, entrepreneurialism, podcasting, and many other things. Hey, Emily, thanks for joining us.
Hi, what a pleasure to be with you both tonight. Here we are.
This is so cool. I remember you and I have exchanged many comments on LinkedIn to now have you on our show, and having had chatted previously, it's pretty damn cool to now have like an in-person conversation.
Yeah, this is great. We've jammed a little bit separately just about business and life. And I know you've gone on some podcasts that I am involved in. So yeah, it's great to connect with you and Om as well.
So before we get started, the most important question we will ask throughout this entire show is going to be pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
I'm gonna say yay to that.
Nice.
It's so divisive. I love how divisive it is. Let's get into it right away. We're just gonna fight already. I just think, listen, there's so many hardships in life, and why not add a little sweetness to anything you possibly can, right? Like sugar is great. Pineapple is essentially just sugar water in solid form, essentially. So I'm here for adding sugar to every single thing I possibly can.
I'm here for that. I'm here for whatever reason you have for saying yay, because yay pineapple.
But I have to always fight back. Would you eat a slice of pizza that it? Yes, I do. You've come to know me.
Yes, he does.
When it's a slice of pizza, would you eat it solely with just pineapple, or does it have to have extras added to it? Pepperoni, jalapenos, Canadian bacon, something additional?
Now that's a real conundrum. I think it's fine with just cheese, because I think what makes it work is the saltiness of the other things on it. And the cheese on a pizza is like pretty salty. So I feel like that could potentially work together, but it's just so good when it's meat and pineapple. So I don't know if just cheese, like that's an experiment I'm willing to try, though. I will say.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know, because my argument is that the vast majority of people who say they like pineapple on pizza actually don't like pineapple on pizza. They like pineapple with ham, or like with all these other things. And then the carrier of those flavors is
the vessel.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I understand that, but you are still wrong, though.
Yes. All right, Jason, I'm taking over.
Yeah, please do. I'm out. I introduced you as one of the co-founders of Wild Poppy Creative, and I've been fortunate to be on a show that you work with, which is John Levitt's For the Long Run podcast, which was a fantastic experience for me. So I want to get into this idea of entrepreneur and endurance sports, because I think the cross-section of the two is phenomenal. What is it about having, or you are a runner, not having been, but you are a runner, you are a rock climber, you are a hiker. What is it about endurance sports that do you believe got you to say, yeah, I'd like to open up my own business?
Yeah, I haven't really fully delved into this. So this is going to be like a live take. I mean, this is what John Levitt talks about kind of every single episode of his podcast. Also, I love in the comments someone just going pizza, 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 pizza. That's incredible. That's so good. So yeah, I think I've always been a runner, since I was, I think 14 or whatever, kind of into high school starting time frame. And I at first really liked it because it gave me a way to be small. Like it helped me with weight management essentially. But then over the past 5 years or so, maybe even a little bit more, especially with the introduction to me of trail running, I feel like I've really engaged with the more meaningful sides of running, which has been a really good transition for me. And in that, I think I just really love that burning sensation of, I don't know if I'm going to make it up this hill. I don't know if I'm going to make the cutoff time of this race. I'm not a fast runner. I don't know if I'm even going to finish this thing. Like, I don't know if I can possibly do it. I do like this sense of like, I don't know if I can do it, but there's something here to prove to myself either way. And I really like that aspect of running. And I also really like that about business. And I left my corporate job to essentially just figure things out. And then, the podcasting world is something was already involved in. And it kind of fell into my lap as an idea to work in the podcasting world and then formalize this business around it just recently. So like the the idea of something could go wrong all the time, every second of every day, but the need to trust in self and trust in sometimes your body, but also like your mind to help you get through that, I think is just like a really intoxicating thing. And it's the reason I probably haven't gone back and, gotten a normal corporate girly job again, because it's kind of addicting. I mean, y'all know that roller coaster. I don't know if this is going to work out, but let's just send it and see what happens.
Yeah, one of the things that we say at our company meetings, which makes it sound so formal, it's more like a string of text messages.
Mhm.
That it's like, no idea is a bad idea. Bring it to the table and let's see what happens to it. This show was an idea that Ohm brought to the table. He's like, hey, what if we did an Instagram live? And I was like, pardon my French, but what the fuck is an Instagram live, dude? Like, I had no idea what it was back then. And, sure enough, it's morphed into this show that has then created this Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. And it's amazing. And so one of the things I was thinking of as you were talking was, would you consider yourself prior to starting the business a problem solver? Because I think when it comes to endurance sports and when it comes to running business, that's literally all we are doing, right? We're just solving one problem after the next to see how we can continue to move forward. Would you have defined yourself or given yourself that sort of description prior to starting your business?
I don't really think so, but this past year I recently did the Strengths Finder test. Do you guys know what that is? It's like a personality test, but a little bit more in uh intense than like a Enneagram. It's like an actual thing that people use in corporate America to like look at skills and strengths and stuff like that. And I did that, and one of my top strengths was, I believe it's called restorative in this particular personality test. But essentially, the skill is to look at a big problem and then break it down into chunks of like, how can we actually take action on making this not a problem anymore, so solving it. And so I don't think that I would actively have called myself previously, literally to this year, as a problem solver. I think I have a good like strategic mind and it can see like, okay, here's the big problem, we need to break it down, but I don't think I would have like put those words together before that. And so this personality test, which like, personality tests can be whatever, but like this one was real, guys. I promise. They can be whatever, but this one was really helpful because it felt like it was the first time that I was like, oh, these, like, I've been trying to run away from some of these skill sets because they feel like restrictive, and actually they're my biggest superpowers. And so how can I lean into them even more? And so like working in the podcasting world, y'all know, like, you look at your numbers, you're like, what the hell is going on? I need to like figure out a solution. Like, I don't know what this means. I need to try some things. Like, I don't understand. And so like, I love that idea of like, especially with new clients, like getting into their numbers and like looking behind the scenes and being like, cool, how do we like get them to where they want to go based on where they're at now and what they've told us about what they need. So I mean, call me problem solver, guys, because I feel like I am now. So I'm going to fully lean into it. But I think I've always been this way, and I just am finally like embracing it a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that you really do have to have sort of a problem solving mindset to be able to be a part of a business, because it's just fighting so many like big and small battles every single day.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to ask you, based on like endurance sports and entrepreneurship, is a journey that I've been through, is like being process oriented versus being like looking at the finish line. And there are truly no finish lines, as we know. But like,
Yeah.
have you always sort of had that process and journey driven mindset, or was that something that developed through your endurance sports and your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think earlier on, especially when I was running more for like extrinsic reasons versus intrinsic reasons, I think I was always looking at goals, like actual outcome goals. I was always looking at, and it didn't mean that I was like, I need to hit a certain time in these races that I'm doing, but I have a race and that's the goal. The goal is not all the training things that lead up to the race and all the runs I need to go on and all the strength training I need to do and all the bullshit foam rolling I need to do and all of that. It was always like, I need to do this race. But then I would finish the race and I would be like, huh, that didn't change anything about me. And I thought it was going to. So I was looking to these like outcome goals as markers of worthiness. And that was certainly a recipe for disaster, which I'm sure we can all agree upon now. I mean, it's good to have those like pie in the sky, like this would be great if this were the place that I get to. But now I think after being self-employed for like over 3.5 years now, I feel that the more I can enjoy the day to day, those outcome goals happen naturally, and I almost like forget about them happening because the day to day is better and better. Obviously, that fluctuates over time. Like, there's definitely weeks where I'm like, I can't believe how much I'm working right now, and I can't believe the little tasks I have to do and all this stuff. But I think I've learned this lesson over and over again where you just have to keep showing up. Like you just have to be consistent. And if you keep showing up with integrity and thoughtfulness and consistency, like those outcome goals will happen regardless of, everything else that's going on. So I don't think I've always thought that way. And in fact, like even now, sometimes I'm like, but why aren't I at the goal yet? But it it does like being self-employed. I feel like we do this for a reason, right? We want to create our own destiny in a way that sounds like lofty, but we need to enjoy the process if we're doing that. Like we can't just be like, I'll be happy when I hit, a certain revenue goal or a certain impressions goal or whatever. It's that ain't it. It can't
No,
be it.
no,
Yeah.
and I'll let Jason add to this too. But one of the things that we definitely talk about is like having like 4 or 5 like asks that we do every single day to stay consistent and on top of things. And I think showing up every day, but also just having fun with it. Like sometimes I think Jason is better about this, better about reminding me like we have to have fun with it. And then there were a couple, we were passing around some great ideas for this podcast network yesterday. And I look up or a couple of days ago, and I look up at the clock and it's 8 p.m. on a Sunday. And we're having the time of our lives exchanging texts and ideas. And I just, like, one of the things like I want to ask you is like, do you take the time to like, focus on like those aspects of the process? Like, how much do you take a focus on like having fun with what you do, and not like always straightforward fun, but as we as endurance athletes and entrepreneurs also like maybe the fun of the grind as well, so like all kinds of funs,
So many funs. We're having all the funs.
all different kinds of funs, different types.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, bringing joy to the process is what you mean, like, how do
Yeah.
we keep that. Yeah, I think I have the propensity to be quite silly, as you're probably gleaning from this conversation so far, is I like to be sarcastic, I like to be silly goose number 1, like, that is the joy and spice of life, and I think when your business is like your name, that is a little bit harder to feel like silly in than maybe if you go to work every day and like someone else is the buck ends with them.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think one thing that's been really awesome is with Wild Poppy, I have a business partner in that. And before I was just kind of going at it alone. I had great like collaborators and stuff like that. I don't want to discount all the people that have like been very helpful to me in my career, but having a business partner who is super aligned with you from a values perspective and is also a silly goose is like a big unlock. And that helps me, first of all, take things a little less seriously. But I know that there's a safe space where we can be silly, and then there's a place where we can be super professional with our clients. And then even with our clients, like, I want our personality to come through. Like, I don't want to be some stuffy, like, corporate girly who's like, structured and that's it. I want to bring silliness to it as much as we can, while also being like, yeah, we got you. And we're the experts here. We're going to handle it. But also, we are real people who have personalities, and I want that to come through. So I think like having a good business partner, and then like, big hack, guys, get a dog, just stare at them doing funny things, and that'll be really nice to keep the joy going throughout the day. Big hack. No one's thought of it before. So
Yeah.
I've never heard that in my life.
I want to add on to this conversation of fun and being yourself. Like, I thought, this was about 6-8 months ago. I put a post up on LinkedIn and I was asking people, like, are you having fun with what you're doing? And I know a lot of people get on LinkedIn and they're corporate and they're buttoning up their ties and shirts and everything else. And it's like, when I get into a sales call with a client, like, this is who they're going to get. Like, I'm 50 years old. This is not going to change. And I want to have fun and I want to laugh. And if they don't get to know me for who I am, and 6 months down the road when the shit hits the fan, because inevitably it's going to hit the fan, and they get somebody who's like, man, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out, they're going to be shocked that it's not the suit and tie guy. And I think that you bring that energy back to you by putting that energy out. And the person who wants the suit and tie guy is probably never going to work with us. And that's okay. We're not for everybody. And I think people have to understand. And I think it's a hard thing when you're running your own business, because you're chasing the clients, you're chasing the dollar, and you're like, but I got to appeal to everybody. But I think you end up losing in the long run if you're trying to appeal to everybody.
Totally. Yeah. And I want to do even more of that. Like, I have thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. And I've only scratched the surface with like how much I share publicly about said thoughts. And so 2025 better look out, because there's going to be a lot more radical thoughts out on the interwebs. And I think another part of this, Jason, I think, to like further your point, is like, I also really like when people build in public. Like, I feel like you actually do this pretty well. Like, you obviously have an established thing going on, but it's also like, how can I build while also showing the process of us continuing to grow and like trying this new thing and like including people in that process as well. And that's another way of being like super authentic and transparent, of like, hey, these people on LinkedIn really sound like they have it figured out. I've tried to sound like that. I get it. But also, like, it's very cool and permission giving to see people be like, hey guys, what do you think of this program that I'm trying to do? Like, let's talk about that. Like, give me your feedback or whatever. I really like that aspect of like self-employment too, of people just like being out there kind of being vulnerable, but also like it kind of makes you trust them more, because you're like, wow, you're being really transparent with your business right now. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, I think that's the other part too that I've learned all along the way is the more open and vulnerable we are, the more likely we are to attract people who are willing and want to work with us, as opposed to people who want to just, for lack of a better phrase, lease our audience, right? Like, we sell advertising. That's how we make money. We sell advertising and we look for marketing partnerships. But one of the important things is that the people that we're working with, we want them to align with our vision and mission, which is to prove that there's a spot at the starting line for everybody and everybody. And if you can't get on board with that mission, honestly, it was going to be really difficult for us to work with you, because you're not going to understand the engagement that we're getting. You're not going to understand the conversations that are happening. And you're going to be like, yeah, but I was expecting, to use John Levitt's favorite, right, ROAS. I was expecting 5x ROAS, and I got 4x ROAS, and so you didn't meet the level that we were expecting, so we're out. And it's like, yeah, we met 4x ROAS in the first 6 months, but what happens when you leave us and the people who remembered you from when you were working with us buy from you? Like, now we're not getting credit for that. And so it just you have to want to be a part of our community, because and I will use this phrase until the day I die. Vendors get fired, partnerships figure out ways to make it work, even through
Woo.
the hard times.
Snaps. I think like anyone who's in the podcasting or content creation game should stop calling partners sponsors. Sponsors is a transaction. They're sponsoring you. They're giving you money. Partners, okay, we're co-creating something here. Like this is something that we're both working towards and feels way better from a relationship. Like imagine if you called like your parents your sponsors, or like like, does that feel like a good close relationship? No, it doesn't. It feels very transactional. So let's move away from that. But I was going to ask you, Jason, I'm just going to pull it back on you because that's how we roll. But how do you vet for value alignment? I think that's a really tough thing to vet for in partners. Like, is it a vibe check for you? I'm just curious how you go about that process.
So for those of you who don't know, Simon Sinek has a book called Start With Why. And he says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so when we get into the conversation with a client, a potential client, potential partner, I come right out and I let them know this is what our vision and mission is. Honestly, if their reaction isn't, I love that, there's chances are it's not going to be something that works really well. And we've experienced that over the last 4.5, close to 5 years now, where we've had people like their eyes have opened up really, really wide. When we've said that, Topo Athletic has been one of our longest partners. That was their reaction. Their eyes opened up supremely wide, and they've been with us since basically day one. We've had other partners who came along and lasted for less than a quarter because they didn't buy into it. And I could tell almost immediately that this wasn't going to be something that was going to be for them for the long haul. It was transactional, to your point. So it is a vibe check because look, I can go scroll Instagram or Twitter or anything else. Look, we all know that's highlight reel shit. We all know that most of that stuff is not, in the depths of their feels. It's highlight reel stuff. And so you have to do it while we're having this kind of conversation. It works better if you do it in person, right? But because we're talking to people from all across the country and the globe, it's not always feasible to meet face to face. But that for me is one of the biggest tells. If their reaction to our vision and mission doesn't give them fireworks, there's a really good chance it's not going to work for the long run.
Yeah. Vibe check. That's what it's going to be.
I mean, and look, we have a pride flag on our website. There's a pride flag on this show, right? We're not running away from who we are as a company. And if you're talking to me to begin with, I have to presume that you support the people and the communities that we support. But that's not always the case, right? They may decide to just lease the audience in their mind and be like, well, if I can just get some exposure from these guys because they're everywhere, that might be beneficial. But then we end up in vendor land and we end up eventually getting fired. It's just going to happen.
Vendor land.
No one wants to be in vendor land. Yeah, that's where the pizza with just the pineapple is.
That's right.
Full circle moment, but not the amusement park I want to be in. It's the unamusement park.
Yeah, the fuck you park, actually. Yeah.
The fuck you park.
One of the questions I want to ask you about is on your Instagram feed, speaking of Instagram feeds, you have a handful of pics of you out there hiking with friends. And the smiles are from ear to ear on every single person's face. And it's fantastic. It draws you in. I want to be a part of that community. What is it about hiking that does bring you that much joy? And I believe I read that you have a monthly woman's hike adventure program as well. So what is it about those two things that brings those smiles and that enjoyment to the public?
Yeah, I think first of all, I grew up feeling like I could be the only woman in the group. And in order to be desirable to men, I needed to be one of the guys and not hang out with women. And so only in the last, I would say 6 or so years have I really, really prioritized female friendships and learned how to even be a female friend to another female. It's been a learning process for me. And so I think, first of all, I'm just so overjoyed in spending time with women because women are the tits. No pun intended. Like they're the best. They're so caring and giving and understanding and silly gooses. Like I love it. So I've been fortunate enough to find people here in Boulder who align with my values, who are really want to get after it. Like they want to hike, they want to ski, they want to rock climb, they want to do all the things. And as we were talking about before we were recording, none of them very well, which is my MO as well. And so like anytime I can be on trail, whether that be hiking or trail running with a woman, like I am so psyched to do that. And the conversations there's like this a lot of like data that goes out on Instagram that's like social psychology, but there's actual data that says like if you have to have a hard conversation, you should do it while you're walking side by side with someone instead of face to face, because it feels a little bit more like confrontational if you do that. And there's also a lot of science that says that longevity is linked to connection and connection in nature too. So like those two things coming together, there's always like actual benefits, but truly like I spend all of my time connecting with women mostly on trail, unless I'm at like the rock climbing gym or at the crag. So it's so important for me. I think more women coming together. I just have been really fortunate to also like meet a lot of cool people here in Boulder in this area. And all these women are doing such rad stuff and like very disparate things, but sometimes there's this really cool overlap of people who should be connected and maybe they could collaborate on something. And I just really value being that person who's like connecting those people. And so I want to do more of that and like continue to foster that community as much as I can. It is a magical feeling. And I feel like I'm not explaining it entirely the way I would like, but more women on trails outside together is just like a beautiful thing. So I'm down for that all the time. And the best conversations happen while you're hiking, like always with my partner, with my female friends, like anyone. It's the time that the vulnerability is there and the kind of slowness to the conversation too. You can sort of meander with it a little bit more than maybe like a meeting where you're networking or something like that.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to add before I turn it back to you, Jason, is that like before I got into running and I found the outdoors, I got into hiking and backpacking. And you're so right about the vulnerability. I think it's just, you're already out there, you're nature. I essentially like to put it bluntly, like the masks are off. Like nobody's at a party, nobody's trying to like be something they're not. Everybody is just out there. You're bonded by this one activity, and uh, there's like almost a rawness to it, and the stuff that comes out, like the conversations that you have, are just incredible. And I'm sure, like with like especially with like the female friends and the female connections you made, there have probably been conversations that you've had that you would not otherwise have or be able to have with the male presence, or be able to be honest, understand each other,
Yeah.
you understand each other on a deeper level, if that makes sense. I might have brought
Totally. Yeah. I mean, things change. I mean, we have a group of friends, right? And most of them are heterosexual, so that like we have all of our, husbands and partners and all these, guys that come to group engagements with us. And it definitely changes the dynamic. It's not like not fun, but it definitely changes the vibe of the situation. And I like both. Like I do like the variety, but I mean, every morning I'm up at 6 a.m. with one of my girlfriends, doing something. So whether it be on trail or, like I said, at the rock climbing gym. And I just think that time is so sacred to me. I don't want to sacrifice that for anything. I'll lose sleep before I lose that.
I think the human connection that you get there is so important these days too. Like I just talked to Craig Lewis, who is the host of our Running Tales podcast earlier today, and we were talking about in a world in which we're so connected, we are so disconnected. And the ability to go meet, your girlfriends at 6 a.m. for a hike or a run or rock climbing, like, can you feel that energy when you get there and they show up and I have to imagine, you can correct me if I'm wrong, not 100% of the time they're like smiles that thankfully we got up at 4:30 in the morning to get here by 6 to start this, right? But then
Yeah.
you start connecting and you start talking and you're laughing and having coffee or sharing a deep story. Like that energy that lifts you up, does it not?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I like every time I'm able to do that before starting my day of work, where the roller coaster is endless. There's like every 5 minutes there's a different emotion. It's like a very grounding thing. It's a grounding thing. I mean, I find that with my partner too, but like that, and it's accountability, to be honest. Like I would not, if I don't have someone to meet at 6 a.m., I ain't going. Like it's not gonna happen. So it's literally like doing so many things for me. It's that connection piece. It's like the accountability piece and the discipline piece. Like if I have to show up and meet someone, I'm gonna be there. And so like that is super, super valuable to me, because otherwise, like I think I could create all the excuses in the world if I'm like, oh, it's 5 p.m. I have to go running and it's dark out now. So I'm not gonna do that. um, so yeah, it hits all the boxes for me, and I feel so grateful. And I know like meeting friends is very hard in adulthood, and it is very hard, I will say. So I do feel very lucky for the people I've met and the relationships I've formed. And I would also say like I think it's actually easier for women to meet each other later in life than it is for men. And so I want there to be more spaces for men to like find friends later in life and in adulthood where they can have those meaningful conversations as well. So I know you guys are doing a lot of work around that, so I'm happy about that. But I want everyone to find that crew of people that really helps them feel connected and grounded.
In the green room, we talked about you're preparing for a 50K, and I'm wondering if that crew that you're out hiking and rock climbing with at 6 a.m., if there was some influence from that crew on you being like, yeah, let me go press the registration button.
Not actually, not really. I think in the past I would have said yeah, but I'm really motivated more intrinsically. I'm trying to really listen to what I'm really psyched about over the last couple years with my exercise. Like I was telling you in the green room too that, the last couple years I've really focused on rock climbing more than anything else, and that was awesome. I loved doing that for that time period. And now I'm like swinging back into running and feeling like really excited about training, and I feel like a smarter athlete now than I did the last time I like truly trained for something in a running perspective. So I also am excited to like implement what I feel like I've learned over the last couple years and really be psyched on that. Now, they weren't really motivating in me pressing register, but they will be super motivating and helping me stay accountable to my training goals. And so like having people to go do that stuff with is really important. And that circle hopefully continues to expand, because Boulder has no shortage of people who want to get out and get on trails.
Do you find that being involved in endurance sports in that way, whether it's rock climbing or hiking or running, has given you perspective to work with some of the clients that you work with at Wild Poppy, with Jason Fitzgerald and with John Levitt, and I'm sure there are others. But does that help you with what you're doing as a owner of Wild Poppy as well?
I think so. I think, well, first and foremost, like we like to work with podcasters who are kind of talking about the things that we give a shit about. So like
Yeah.
it is helpful that they're kind of in line with that. And so the more that we can like be part of the community that they're trying to serve, I think is really helpful. But I think the other way that it's really helpful is that management of the up and down that we've been talking about. When you, as the young kids are calling it, like when you touch grass, when you go outside into nature and like engage in a world that feels a lot bigger than you, there is this sense of like the problems that you thought were problems aren't really problems, probably. So I think like it gives us perspective in that way. And Angie, my co-founder and business partner, Angie Madsen, who is incredible and also should be on the show. She is incredibly good at prioritizing like things that fill her up and bring her joy, and does a lot outside of the work that we do together. And so she's a really big inspiration to me to like go take that run or take that break, take a vacation and take time off to go do bigger things that we want to do. So I think it definitely is helpful for perspective for the business, but it's also more so perspective for me as a human, which then translates into the work that we do. It's all connected, as we know.
We talked about fun earlier, and I will say that when Angie puts those videos up of her, like this last one was about like, how do you sign off from the podcast?
Yeah.
Cracks me up. And the other one that she had was when you're asking people to subscribe, rate, and review, like, yeah, do it if you want. I don't know what to say anymore. Like,
yeah, she is truly like such a multifaceted human being. She is an author. She is a public speaker. She's like organized if you live in the Gorge, like in the Hood River area, she organizes a monthly storytelling night there. So if you're in that area, that's a great thing to check out. So she just does so much outside of what we do with the podcasting business. And she's also just like a badass athlete too. She just ran a 100-miler. I could talk about her for days. So, but yeah, you should have her on. She can talk about herself.
what 100-miler did she do?
She did. It was the first year of the one around Mount Hood. Okay. So I think it's through Daybreak Racing.
Oh, Daybreak, Oregon. Yeah, they're big race company up there.
Yeah, so they're actually the company that does the 50K that I'm doing in April, which will be in that area as well, the Gorge Waterfalls.
Ooh, awesome! Yeah, I've heard about the Gorge. I've heard great things about that race.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love it. It looks very much like redwoody, like moody forest, and I love running in that kind of environment. And I think it'll be really nice to train here and then go to essentially sea level. So that'll be really good to do it that way.
There's something about, I'm sorry. There's something about the P&W running that is unbelievable. Like I've run in Ouray, I've run in Leadville, I've run in Seattle, I've run in Northern California. Like there's something about that P&W, that moodiness about the air and the trees and the soft, buttery trails.
Oh, buttery. Yeah. They're like so soft with all the pine needles and everything. It's great. We were in Mendocino in Northern California earlier this year with the family trip, and we went on a run, me and my partner, just this awesome 8-mile loop. And the other thing is like no one is there. It's awesome. I mean, coming from the Front Range where I can't find solace to save my life here, which is understandable because it's so beautiful. But like there was literally no one on the trail, and we did this awesome 8-mile, loop thing. And I was like singing afterwards. I was just like, oh my, this is magical. This feels like we're in like Lord of the Rings, but like the good parts, not where everyone's dying. It was just, yeah. So I'm really excited to be back in that environment. And I think it's so much wetter too from here. It's like so dry here. So I think it'll just feel really nice to like end my training cycle there.
I don't know if you're familiar with Go Beyond Racing. We've had Todd and Renee on our show, and I did the inaugural, and to this point, hopefully they get it back up and running, the only Oregon 200 back in 2023.
Jesus.
And so many waterfalls, like you said, like the trails are so soft, like you get that solace. But you mentioned Lord of the Rings, and I think about like 4 miles into this race, not expecting to see anything. We're just getting into it. And then the sunlight peeks through those trees, and it's like the morning is cracking. I'm like, oh my gosh, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on a trail. It was very much Lord of the Rings-esque.
Yeah. I don't want to bore you with how much I was going to like say, oh, it's like that scene when they do this, but that would really show how much nerdiness there really is over here.
Oh my God. Yeah, we could talk about, this is why we already have a million podcasts, and now we need a movie podcast.
Yeah. Pop culture. I'm in for that. I love pop culture. So I am like down for a pop culture podcast.
Yeah, we've talked about it so many times because I love riding the spin bike or the trainer or getting on the treadmill, throwing a TV show or a movie up on there, and like the brain starts cranking. Like, this is a show we should be doing. I mean, we have music, we have food, We have the potential for a travel show coming up, and so would make sense to have TV and movies and books as the next conversation amongst endurance athletes, because we somehow have figured out there's 27 hours in a 24-hour day.
Yeah, I'm nervous for the slate that you have, but y'all keep going. So you're doing a great job.
We're not nervous because we know of a great agency that handles podcasts.
Oh, that's us.
So before we jump into our rapid fire food questions, I noticed that you're a Swiftie, and I
Fuck yeah.
asked
Let's go. I can't wait to talk about this.
I asked Stevie Lynn Smith this question yesterday during our Fire Amber, so I'm going to pose it to you here today as well. You can only pick one Taylor Swift song. Which one is going on repeat?
Oh my God.
Yeah, see? Hard-hitting questions.
That's
This
hard.
is the journalism I was expecting. Holy hell. That is such a hard question. Okay. I think Okay, I'm going to go with an answer that would likely change tomorrow, but let's just go with it. There's a song on 1989 Taylor's version, which is my favorite of her albums. And it's on the Vault tracks, and it's called Is It Over Now? And me and Angie listened to it when she was here for our first business retreat together. And there's like some crazy ways that she pronounces words in that song that are so funny. So it also just like it makes me happy because the lyrics are really snappy and fun and kind of almost like rap-esque. It's like fast. But then there's like a couple moments that I just like laugh every time because me and Angie just make fun of it every time. So I think that one's going on repeat for me for at least today.
So I told John during his interview with me for his podcast that I was running in a 1 mile loop for 6 hours, and I was challenged to listen to one song for as long as I could.
Oh, I've seen these on the internet. This challenge is like a trend too, right? Yeah.
I must have started it then because I have
Yeah,
no idea.
you started it.
What's in your
Let's just say
earbud?
it.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Next show on Monday.
I managed to listen to Dance Monkey for 4 hours. So do you think you could listen to that Taylor Swift song 4 hours straight while running in a 1 mile loop?
I think I could. Yeah. You know what the trend I saw was the 10-minute version of All Too Well that she came out with a couple years ago. Someone literally listened to was like, I'm going to see how many times I can get through it until I stop, like for my run or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's cool because it's like a perfect, 10-minute, like, if you're going slow and meandering and stuff, that's pretty good. So, okay, I'm going to try that on my next run. Maybe.
There was one I had on repeat when I was doing a 1 hour, like a short, easy run or whatever. And it's because I saw like a joke or like a meme about running. And it was I Can Do It With a Broken Heart.
Yes.
I love that song because when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh my goodness. But it's so happy and jivey, like the way she sings it.
She knows what she's doing.
She knows what she's doing. And the meme was essentially like a skeleton, with like the fairy costume. And it's like when you're in a race and you're suffering and you see the race photographer. And that's literally me with that song.
Yeah, there's literally a lyric in that says "Lights, camera, bitch, smile." So, like, that's basically the mantra. I'm going to use that mantra for my race.
Lights, camera, bitch, smile.
Yeah.
You have a lot of updating to do. You got to update your LinkedIn account to include Problem Solver now, and now you've got to use this for your song playlist.
Exactly.
Emily, are you ready for our rapid fire food questions? When I say rapid fire, I mean take your time to think about it.
I mean, not rapid at all. I mean,
not
just
at
fire.
all.
Yeah.
It just sounds good as a break in the action.
The rapid part is our reactions to absurd answers.
Okay, great. I can't wait. Let's go.
Reese's peanut butter cups, the mini ones. Do you eat them whole, so you pop them in one at a time, or are you biting, like getting a 2-bite component out of it?
Whole. Next question. Listen, you heard my sugar thing earlier. Like, you understand how much I love sugar. I have this issue where if I have anything quote unquote bad for me in my house, like I will eat the entire thing immediately. Like I can't, there's no portion control here. So That's, we have strict rules about what comes home with us from Costco.
Yeah. Stevie gave me a strict talking to that I eat too fast, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm exactly that same way. Like if it's in the house,
Same.
Yeah.
So here's a question that we've never asked before. If you get so dinner plate is in front of you, are you a person who uses a fork or a spoon?
That depends on the dinner, my guy. That
Nope.
is no, that's the wrong question. That's the wrong answer, I
Yeah.
guess. I prefer a fork.
Yeah. See, I'm a shoveler.
Okay, so
So I'm
you're not. It's not a spoon. It's a
yeah.
shovel. Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
I don't want to take the time to stab at shit. I just want to
Mm,
inhale it. Like I
mm.
can't. Don't give me a fork. It's a waste of
Well,
time.
I feel that, and that's why we literally we like never use plates in our house. We only use these like enormous bowls that usually are used
Yes.
for ramen that we got from Costco. And I'm like, everything just goes in together, and then so in that case, you don't need the fork issue is not as big because you kind of have the
Right.
side of this. This is very technical stuff for the run tri bike community here.
Yes. We have the hard hitting questions here, pal.
Yeah, exactly.
Oreos, OG Oreos, double stuff Oreos, or these other things that they've been producing, the thins or the cakesters.
Thins? Get the fuck out of here with some thins. Dude, what? No, original. Double stuff has too much stuff. I need the perfect ratio of the two cookies and the original amount of stuff in between. So original all the way for me.
How are you eating it? Are you a twist and scrape?
No,
Or you
bite in. Because I want the sandwich. I don't want I want the sandwich experience. And that I cannot put in my mouth all at once. So that's a 2-biter right there.
No, you need work.
Yeah. I guess if I believe in myself, I could.
I throw them in like aspirin. Like I'm
Yeah.
not biting them until they're all the way in.
You know what? Fair enough. Yeah.
We had Jason Fitzgerald on the show a few months ago, and he told me that the way he eats them is he throws the first Oreo into the glass of milk, and then he eats his Oreos while he dunks and everything else. And then when he gets to the end, it's just disintegrated, and it's like this rush of cookies and cream as he finishes his milk.
He is a mad scientist genius. I need to do that. Oh my God. Okay, I have to tell him that next time we chat.
See, we spread the love around here on eating choices.
That we do.
Licorice, red or black or none at all?
Okay, wait. I have a question. Are we talking pull and peel or are we talking classic licorice? Are we talking Twizzlers pull and peel? Because that is a different thing than like classic licorice.
Yeah, pull and peel.
Okay, pull and peel, I fuck with some red, but never black. Are you kidding? Who does that? Oh my God.
People who love anise and sambuca. That's who does it, because it ain't me. I'm not doing it.
But you know what? Anise sounds awfully a lot like something else, doesn't it?
And we are full circle.
Our YouTube Shorts has just been created, and that's gonna go viral.
Just one YouTube short. There's been a lot of viral reactions.
That's what I'm here for.
Are Peeps a real choice for candy?
Thinking about Corey's reaction from last week.
I'm just like sweating with these Peeps conversations.
I'm still thinking about Corey Waltering's reaction and his answer.
What was it?
He said yes. He said it was actually his second favorite candy. And so I proceeded to ask him what his favorite. It's nonsense. It's a waste.
That is not candy.
I proceeded to ask him what his favorite candy was, and he replied with candy corn.
Guess what our next question was going to be?
No. I've never met a person to like candy corn. That's an adult. Wow.
That's right up there with the red velvet cake reaction from Ghost.
I'm telling you right now, Emily, if you go to our Instagram page and you look at the moments, I think it's one of the last ones we posted. Yeah. There's got to be like 10, 12 comments of people supporting him in love with candy corn.
No.
It's crazy.
That's why he can run so far, because he's so sugared up. Like he is truly like, you know what? I can do hard things. I can eat the worst candy and these weird amalgamations of marshmallows that aren't real. Like Peeps, what the? He's an impressive person, but wow.
We have had somebody send Jason and me stale Peeps, and Jason ate it on like
Awful.
on our feed or whatever, and it was the grossest thing. His reaction said it all.
I didn't even know they could get. I thought they were shelf stable. What happened?
No, they get stale. They're like, we were told that they taste better, when they're stale. And my reaction
Just wrong.
Yeah,
Just really
his
wrong.
is,
oh, you're back. It's the stale peeps are so bad it froze your camera.
creamy or crunchy peanut butter.
Creamy and honey peanut butter from Justin's is all I will put on anything in my household. Even my dog gets that peanut butter, so that's what's up.
That's in
So
my
is
race.
jelly or jam.
What's that? Peanut butter jelly, my jam. Is that a pun also that you just did? That's incredible.
Look at me. So, but peanut butter and jelly is out. It's just peanut butter and honey.
Oh no, I like peanut butter and jelly, but like on a day to day, I don't really, fancy a peanut butter and jelly because there's like a lot of things going on in that. I usually reserve that for like a day out, like at the Crag or something like that. And I have the fancy French looking jam.
Yes, St. Balfour.
Yeah, what is it called? Le Bons or something like that. And I love their raspberry is unbelievable. So that's the vibe. Those two together.
Red velvet cake. Is red velvet a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom?
Oh my god. Oh my god, I love this question so much. Holy shit. What is red velvet cake? Oh my god. I think it is just dressed up to go to the prom. I think it might be.
Yes.
It's cute though. It's cute that it's trying. Yeah. I am like having a life-changing experience right now. I've never thought about that. I like it, just to be clear, because it's sugar and chocolatey.
Yeah.
So
Like, look, if you go to like a bakery, you can get the red velvet cake because it's going to use the right cocoa and everything else. You go to a diner, let's say in Manhattan, and the diner display has red velvet cake and chocolate cake. They're going to charge you $12.99 for the red velvet cake and $6.99 for the chocolate cake. It's the same shit. Just fucking get the chocolate cake and save the money.
He's adamant about that.
I tell you, we get
a hill he'll die on.
There are a couple. That is a hill I will die on with them. Red velvet cake is not a real flavor.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that.
Let's stick with cake. What is your favorite flavor of cake?
I really like funfetti, like literally from a box. I love that shit. Just give it to me straight. Like I don't need a fancy bakery to make it. I want it right from the box. That's so good. But if I'm being fancier, tiramisu, if that counts, is like my favorite dessert. So like if there's good tiramisu at a restaurant, that's like I'm going for that all day, every day. But I really don't know a dessert I don't like. So you're really getting a full sense of my palate here. So yeah, not a fast answer, but all to say funfetti is slept on and should not be.
You go into grandma's house and she's got the tray of candy. She's got the butterscotch. She's got the strawberry filled hard candy, and she's got the mint. Which is the one that Emily's grabbing and taking, and to hell with the rest of the family? You can fight over the other two.
Is the mint the Andes mint?
No, the mint is the red and white.
The actual mint. Yeah. Oh, butterscotch for sure. Yeah, the sweetness is important to me. If I'm not making that incredibly clear.
Which is the better caramel chocolate, Rolo or Caramello?
Rolo.
Yes, 100%. Not even. It's not even close.
That's also my friend's dog's name, so I just like it better.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, cute.
Do you have a favorite candy bar? Is there one that you're like, I'm going to get this time over others?
I mean, you can't really go wrong with like Snickers, super classic. But I'm going to throw in, candy bar. Wow. Okay. I think Snickers is probably my favorite of the classic candy bars for sure. Although a Take 5, I don't know if you've had a Take 5 before. Yeah, those things are so good. Like with the salt in there too from the pretzel. So I think classic candy, I think Snickers in that category, and then Take 5 is more like a modern addition to that, I would say. Yeah.
Chocolate chip cookie or oatmeal raisin cookie?
Oh, chocolate chip. Gross. I'll eat it. because it's a cookie, but I don't want it. I don't like crave it. If I like smell a chocolate chip cookie, or there's like a warm one available, like holy shit. I'm like my mouth is watering right now thinking about that. Like that's so good. Yeah, love that.
Stevie discovered on our show yesterday that I'm 50 going on 80, but I've been 17 going on 80 my entire life because I love oatmeal raisin cookie. I love Raisin Bran. I
Oh
love
no.
raisins in my carrot
Do
cake.
you
And
like
she's like,
Werther's original too?
yes, so damn good.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so you're turning 80. So congrats,
And
you know?
it's been this way my entire life. It's crazy. Like, she's like, she goes, and so I'll ask you this question too. She's like, so you must also like grape nuts. I'm like, absolutely. Like, give me all the grape nuts. Like, I'm
Wow,
the one
that's some
keeping
old
post
people
in
shit.
business. Yeah, it's old
Yeah.
people shit.
Okay, when you go to the movie theater, let's just game this out a little bit because there's some candy in that rack that only old people eat. And I want to
Jun-
know if
Junior mints.
yeah, okay. That's it. I was like, yeah, yep. So I was confirmed. Yes. Okay, cool. I just want to be clear that I'm not judgmental. Like I do like Sour Patch Kids as well. Like
Ooh, love
I love Sour Patch watermelon. Like that is my true favorite candy. Like if I'm gonna
yes.
go candy, like and that is a great thing to bring with you on a trail run as
Yeah.
well. So
Oh,
good.
heck yeah.
We're big on nerds clusters here in this
Oh
house too.
fuck yes, those things are so good. I'm so
So
glad they
good.
created those because I don't want a nerd rope. Like I'm not a child. I
Yeah,
want
no.
clusters. Okay.
All right. Last question before we let you go.
Oh dang, this is so fun.
So you're like, oh, I wish you guys luck in all your podcast shows, and now you're inspiring us and motivating us to continue the food show.
Perfect.
Tray of brownies is on the counter. Emily is going to which piece of the tray? The corner edge, the edge in general, or the center, which is all ooey gooey?
There's only one answer to this question, and that's the corner edge. The corner.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Because what I like about that, let me just explain my point, is that every bite, essentially, you can get both the ooey gooey and the hard
Yes.
part. So it's like you're getting the full experience every time you have a little part of it. So, anyways, that's a little bit about me.
Emily, thank you so much for joining us. For all the podcasters who are listening to us right now and want to work with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, they can go to our website at wildpoppycreativeco.com or our email is hi@wildpoppycreativeco.com. So that's the best place. But I'm pretty active on LinkedIn if you want to connect, and Instagram I'm hit or miss. I get mad at it and then delete it every week or so. So, anyways, you can find me there.
Awesome. Emily, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you over on the interwebs real soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
We out.